Welcome everyone to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show. I'm your host, Coach Steve Todd, also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media. And you can watch the show right now live on YouTube Live as well as Hangouts, Google Hangouts, and streaming on consciousevolutionmedia.com. We have a great guest with us this afternoon. Her name is Jeannie Provost. She is a life coach, an artist, and to be author, or maybe she's already an author. We'll find out later on in the show. So welcome to the show, Jeannie.
Thank you. Hi, Steve.
Hi. And we'll start the show the same way as we start every show, which is if I took all these titles, like an author, an artist, a life coach, a mother, a friend, a colleague, and all the other titles that anybody has ever called you, if I took them all away, who is really Jeannie Provost?
I am, honestly, I feel like I'm a child of God who just kind of goes through life trying to really listen to the direction I'm meant to go in and trying to follow it and letting that lead my life.
Okay, great. So in order for you to do what you do these days, which is you're coaching people and you pick this very interesting, I would say, purpose, which is you want to teach people what is living well like, and we'll talk about intuition later on in the show as well, which is it's a great why, like what is living well looks like. And in order for you to teach that to other people, I know that by now because I interviewed. I've done over 15,000 shows. In order for you to do that well, you're gonna know it and you're gonna walk it.
Yes.
So tell us, share it with us. What is it like living well?
Well, it all begins with really the first thing is paying attention to your thoughts and growing and learning from this awareness. And it's a journey because it does not happen overnight. It did not happen overnight for me at all. But when you get to this place of this awareness, you can change your thoughts and you can change your whole life to have this life. It's like you're living, even in the midst of chaos, in the midst of tragedy, which everyone has. Nobody's not given that in their life. Some are harder than others, some aren't. But you can move through them in a way where there's this peacefulness that happens sooner than later. And I feel like it's maybe a taste of heaven on earth when you step into doing certain things that I teach my clients to do to help them grow in this lifetime and have a really beautiful life now. So that's kind of what it feels good like to me. Living well is kind of having it all. Where people say there's no way you can't have it all. Well, I kind of disagree. I think you can, and I think you can do your inner work to get there. And it's really up to you. It's a responsibility, and it's actually like a part-time job in your daily life. A self job. It is.
You need to manage yourself.
Yeah.
As a human being. Like, would you say that a lot of people for most of their lives are running around completely unmanaging themselves, and therefore they make themselves basically what's the word I want to use? Like they opening themselves up for having what's happening around them in the world define who they are.
Yes, and I do think people create too what they're having. You know, it's hard. I mean, and everyone's guilty of it. Everyone does it. It's all comes down to really paying, first of all, and one of the first things I teach my clients is focusing on their thoughts and becoming aware. And most of us we can beat ourselves up really easily about anything. I mean, there's every single matter in life people can either think a positive thought about or something that's negative. And it's when you become aware of it, all of a sudden you have a tool I give them to use to all of a sudden change. And it's a very simple tool. I tell them, I call it the rejection tool. And they just, when they have a thought comes up, like say you're, give me an example of a bad thought you, or unhealthy thought you would have about yourself after something happened.
You want me to?
Yeah, like give me one example. Like it, like yeah.
I don't have those anymore. I'm
You
just
don't
kidding.
have any.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let me see. That's very interesting because I kind of live my life kind of differently than the way I used to, and I live a very simple life, meaning the basis of my life is doing well in the world. It's kind of goes along with living well. I do things that create goodness. Like that's what I have dedicated my life to. And the simplicity of it is that if it feels good, I do it. If it doesn't, and this is again about intuition, which we're going to get deeper. But I 100% now tuned into my intuition, and whatever it is that I need to say or need to do is basically cross-checked with who I am, or filtered through who I am. And if it doesn't feel good, I just don't do it. Which is different from who I used to be, where I didn't necessarily listen to my intuition. Actually, many times I did the opposite of what my intuition told me, and I always paid for it. And another thing I used to do is, even if it didn't feel good, I went ahead and done it because I talk myself into it. Another way of saying it is I convince myself that something good is going to come out of it. Like I give it what I call the hope.
Yes.
The hope possibility.
Yes.
and then I kind of learned that hoping to win the lottery has as much chance as a 747 landing on my house.
Right.
So I don't do those things anymore. So that's why my life is really simple. So giving you an example of like I'm trying to think today. I had like this discussion going on between some people that were in my house earlier today, and I was just checking in with myself because I was about to judge them, and I'm trying to be pretty careful not to do that. But I noticed that I was kind of going there, like I was saying, wow, a lot of the people that are attracted to this family that are about to leave on Monday, yay! We took in a family that became homeless, and they were only going to be here for just a few months, and it turned into a year.
Wow.
And they are leaving Monday. And they just attracting these really odd people that are very challenged. And I was, like I said, I almost went there, but I stopped myself by saying, okay, I don't really need to judge them. All I need to do is just to be with them and appreciate their humanity and understand that this is who they are right now. And it has to be okay because I can't change it.
Yeah, well, you already have it down. What I teach them. So, well,
but I almost did it. You know, I was like this close.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Oh my God,
So
I didn't do it.
That's where you want to be in life. And so let's just give a simple example. Say someone's putting on a pair of jeans and they're too tight, and they just get mad. Oh, and they start condemning themselves. Oh, I'm so fat. I wish I could lose this weight. Blah blah blah, and that puts this negative energy out, this vibration out into the world. And you know how the universe wants to meet you. You know, wants everything you desire. The universe wants. God wants to give that to you. And when you're putting these remarks out, that's what keeps coming back to you. And so the minute you have any thought that's a negative or put down to yourself, beating your own self up or other people, anything, you take your forefinger and your thumb together and you say reject. And you can say it in your head or you can say it out loud if you're whatever. And then you take a conscious effort to replace that thought immediately. You don't wait 5 minutes. You just sit there for a minute and think, what would be what I really want? Oh, I am so excited to live in a world where I put on my clothes every day and they feel great. Just whatever it is that you can change your thought, and then that puts that energy back out into the world. And when I first explain this to people and my clients start doing this, sometimes they're doing that 100 times a day or 50 and whatever, and it depends on each person, and it goes down. Each week we get together, we talk about it, and it goes down, it goes down, it goes down, and all of a sudden you're at maybe 10 times a day. And all of a sudden you're in this whole world, in this whole nother awareness.
Yes, I agree. And it does disappear.
Yes.
You have that opportunity that you can, like also the conversation that I used to have in my head. Like I don't have one going on at all right now because I'm 100% connected to you and I'm being with you. And I don't have conversations going on like how I remember I used to be. Which means that I couldn't even listen to anything that you were saying. I probably got less than 5% of what you said because I was too busy with my own self. And this is really what we are interested in teaching the public, is that there is a whole different way, of living, which is to living in the now, living in the present moment. Because the past is gone,
Yes.
and the future hasn't happened yet. So all there is really is you and I right now. Nothing else really matters. It doesn't matter that there are wars going on out in the world. It doesn't matter what the commercial television networks are doing. None of that matters because all there is in my world is you and this show. That's all there is.
That's great. Yeah.
So I noticed that at the beginning of you explaining this, you said something that I think very important. That is, you were relating to awareness. And so this show and all the other network shows that we do and all the stuff that we do on PBS, none of this matters to people that are not aware.
I agree with that.
Because they can't get it.
Well, and that's why...
Yet.
Yeah. But they can get it. Everyone can if they get to a point in life where they want. I mean, that's when someone calls me.
Actually, let me change that. I'm sorry. Let me change it. So all this, the broadcasts and all the transmission we're putting out, everybody that tunes in gets it, but they may not get it in their conscious mind. Where they get it, where it goes into their subconscious mind. And at some point, when they are ready, and what do I mean by they are ready? What do I mean by that, Ginny?
I feel like it's when they totally allow, like trust and allow it to happen, like that childlike faith, not a controlled allowing, not a, something, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this. It's that childlike allowing, that childlike faith to let it happen for yourself and to just step into it. Right.
So what it means is that it's really up to them, not up to you and I. All like our motto is we want to touch, move, and inspire millions of people.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do. We can't control anybody. Like we don't know when it's the right time or space for them. Only them. Right. And it's really up to them. It's not up to us. So a lot of times I repeat myself on these shows, and some of the returning guests or returning, and I don't know about you, but returning viewers may go, okay, well, I heard that before. But I just want to remind everybody that we have, millions of people tuning into these shows, and a lot of them have never heard it. So, life is so simple. It's
Well,
like if I could just teach people, like same with you, if I could just teach people that just pay attention to your intuition, what it tells you, and
hmm
just follow that. Nothing else, because everybody has everything that they need inside of themselves. There
yeah,
is nothing I can give you or give anybody else that everybody doesn't already have.
right. And we all have it.
So it's not like I have a secret. I mean, there's so many marketing tactics and all these other things going on the
Yeah,
internet that people present things like I have a secret, and then if you sign up, then
yeah.
I'll give it to you. There are no secrets. It's just all there is, as far as I can tell, is the level of openness that we have.
Yeah, and tapping into it. Like really do what I love is when you do your inner work and I think it's so important. Like there's 5 things that I teach people or want people to do when I'm working with them and and if they're and I want clients that want to do the work. I don't want someone who's not going to show up and do the work because I want the transformation to happen for them. And there's 5 things. I want them to meditate every day. I want them to write in a journal every day, and it can be 5 minutes, 5 minutes. I want them in the journal to write 5 things they're grateful for and think about gratitude throughout the day. And even just looking in the beauty around them, in the color, in the sky, in the mountains, and wherever you are. Affirmations of things you are working on. I want them to be saying those. I want them pinned to their mirror in their bathroom, and I really want them, I teach them a visualization that we do in meditation, and that is what I think just gives them this almost a boost, and they step into things quicker. And what I notice is not all my clients do this, and they try, and sometimes it takes them 3 months to get into doing this. Sometimes it takes them a week. Sometimes it takes, just everyone's so different. But what I notice is when they step into it, it's like them doing all this inner work, and all of a sudden they start taking action about what they want to do or create in this world. It's like the doors fly wide open, and all of a sudden they're in this beautiful life. And they've created it. I didn't create it for them. They created it on their own. It all came from them. It's just a guide, like I guide them a little, and it's really necessary for people to do.
Yeah, because if they could do it themselves, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
And that's what really I want people to get that are viewing the show now live or going to be viewing it as a replay, is that a lot of people say that I don't need anybody to help me or I don't need a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? If you want to learn this on your own, I guess it's possible, but it's gonna take a while, and we don't have forever.
Yeah, and the nice thing about, I think everyone, I need a guide, I need that. We all need that in our lives, and some people have it in a really good friend who is aware too, and they can really work with each other. But that's not that common, and what happens when you choose somebody to work with, and they have to be someone you resonate with, and so people might test a few different people before they resonate with somebody. But when they do that, they step in, and all of a sudden, they're showing up because each week you work with them, you're showing, like when I work with people anyway, they're telling me their successes from last week. They're telling me where they are. I teach them the vibrational scale a little bit to just get in touch with their own emotions and how they're feeling. So they know where they are when we start. They know where they are when they finish. And a lot of times, just from them telling me their successes, they just raise their vibration immediately because they don't really think about it until we sit down and we start talking. And it's really powerful. Everyone does need a guide. I believe that 100%. And, and it's really a gift people can give themselves. It was a gift I gave myself, and if I hadn't had a life coach like 5 times before I learned about the program to learn how to be a life coach, I don't know if I would have just stepped in and did it. But I felt that strong intuition in the middle of the night when I found it on the internet, and I just resonated so strongly and thought, this is what I'm supposed to do, and signed up and started. The class started the next day, and went through a year of school and coaching, and it was really, it changed my life. It was in the middle of a divorce, and I came through my divorce so beautiful and so happy, and am able to pass that down to my children so they can move through everything easier. And
yeah, me too. I'm best friends with my ex.
oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, I actually meant to ask you about, because I caught this on your bio. It says at 49 your life took an unexpected path that led to divorce.
Yes.
And I wanted some clarification about the unexpected path.
Oh.
What does that really?
Well, do you really want to
mean?
hear? Well, it's going to be in my book, so I might as well. It was hard. I talk about intuition. I've had different times in my life where I've had either a knock in the middle of the night or kind of a boom of a voice sound that wakes me up, and it's only happened a handful of times in my whole life. One of them was when I was 49, and it said, "Rob's having an affair with a stripper." And I sat up in my bed and I said, "No effing way." And I laid back down, and I sat there and I thought, that was that voice. I have to pay attention. And then I asked him, and he whispered back yes, and I just about died. And we've been together 30 years. We were almost.
And you're such a beautiful woman too. It's
thank you.
How is this possible?
Well, you know what? I have to tell you, I love my life now. So I'm okay with everything, and he's on his journey, and I want him to still be a wonderful dad for our girls, the best, and yeah, I don't understand. It's a whole, that's kind of his problem, not really.
Yeah, you can really understand only your kind of, you can't really understand theirs. So I wanted to share something, because this is really appropriate. Something that also happened this morning that's related to what you're talking about, is that this woman that was here in my house today was very, very attractive. Like, I was so attracted to her. I wanted to ask her out. But then, as we had the conversation going on, and I learned more about her, it was so obvious to me that she's not a healthy person right now. And I basically said to myself, it doesn't matter how great looking she is and how beautiful she is. My values and who I am today, I cannot be with her, because she has to get her act together before I could even consider it. So I just moved on. But do you know to me, and it's not that I want to pat myself on the back, great stuff. Yeah. Wow. But if you go back 10 years ago, I wouldn't hesitate for a second to ask her out. This conversation wouldn't be occurring.
Yeah. Well, same with me. And same with me and I have a wonderful partner in my life now. And so lucky. But the only reason we're together is because, honestly, just what you just said. He had done his inner work, and he had done where we could meet on that level, and the integrity and the trust and all that were the things that matter in life, And
those are far and few in between, because I'm telling you, I am out there in the world a lot these days, and oh boy.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yeah.
But there are people there. In fact, I wrote and did a desire statement for the type of man I wanted. Every single thing I asked for, like almost a month later, appeared in front of me. And I didn't even know if I was thinking it would happen a year or so from when I asked. And it was really, And I feel really blessed, like beyond, for that.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So you're still writing this book, right? You're tuning in.
Yes, I'm writing. I have a daughter who I take care. She's 28 and she was in a horse accident. So that's first in my coaching and then the writing. But I think by January I will be able to send in my book proposal with half of the book written, and then hopefully it'll be done next year then. And
so what inspired you to write this book?
Well, you know, I started writing to God when I was 18, and I'd write and I'd just write a page of just write everything out like he was my best friend. And then I'd rip it up and throw it, or go out and burn it in the fireplace because I didn't want anything. And I told him everything, and it wasn't always good. And when I was 24 or 25, I just turned 25, and my brother died. And that I went and bought a journal because my brother died. I didn't want to throw the words away I was writing about this, so I started writing in journals every morning. And this is way before I ever knew anything about meditation. And I have 44 journals now filled, and I kind of just I knew like in my 30s I wanted to write something. I just didn't know what. But I'm not a writer. I mean, I didn't go learn how to write. I'm just starting to. I've taken a few structural classes, and it's helping me a lot get this out now. But so I think I just knew I wanted to share this thing about intuition because it's something I've had since I've been a little girl, and it's led me from it showed up really in my early 20s, right, 19 or so, and I started making choices based on my intuition and following it. And it's led me to a really nice life. Even my ex-husband, I don't sit there and go, oh, I hated my life with him. I don't think that at all. I had a nice life. I loved my life. He had a double life he was leading. So, you know, I have a really by following everything, it's just grown into this nicer path, nicer path, nicer path, nicer path. And
did you ask the question? Let me just pause for a second. Did you ask the question of yourself, what is it about me that attracted the man to myself who was living a double life?
Well, I don't know if he was when we first met because we were 20 years old when we met, and we were just kids.
So you were in love, and
yeah, we were 20-year-old kids in love, and and then at 24 we got married and
a family. You did all the stuff that you followed all the DNA instructions.
Yeah. and honestly, I grew up in a kind of a hectic home where my parents fought all the time, and we had a huge family, and there was a lot of, all the brothers and sisters are really good friends, but the parents still fought, and it was a little unhealthy. That was not that great. So I didn't have this amazing example. I think my amazing example of parents were my best friend Joni's parents. You know, how they work together. I always looked at them as great teachers for that, and I actually look at my parents, who I love dearly, as great teachers of, as far as relationship goes, of what not to do, you know. And so, and I always said that to myself, I will never do that, and I'll never do that. And my ex just happened to be really good at living a really true double life. So, I mean, it was so it's just, I asked myself that when I first found out. I was like, and then I tried to stain it. How embarrassing is that? I tried to just forgive because I'm really easy at forgiving and moving on, and I can do that. And it didn't happen. It was just, I kept being lied to, and yes, I want to be together, and then lied. And so, I mean, it's a pretty, now it sounds like a funny story, but at the time it was a very big heartache to go through.
So would you say, I just want to explore this for a second, just for the viewers.
Mhm.
So would you say that sometimes, especially, I mean, in this case in your life, sometimes what ends up happening is, because I believe we are always with the people we're supposed to be.
Mhm.
It's not an accident that you were with him, and it's not an
No.
accident that he was living a double life, and
Yeah.
it's not an accident that you went through a divorce and you're not a victim. It
No.
is what had to happen in your life
Mhm.
and his life to move you forward.
I agree 100% because I would not be a life coach right now. I would
Uh-huh.
not be writing, like stepping in and writing my book right now. It would have been when I was 70. Um, you know, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I honestly, and I feel free. There was something that I didn't realize when I was in the relationship that was holding me back until later, and like rereading all my journals. I'd write my journals and never look at them again. It's a little like awakening for me, like, wow, I ignored all that. I stuffed all that down into my body and went on with this image in the world of this great, everything great going on, which I was really taught by my parents to do and will never do again in my life. So,
Like pretending, you mean?
yeah, pretending like everything's perfect all the time. I mean, it's such an unhealthy way to live, you know. If I just will never do that. It's, you know, it's just not going to ever be part of my life. And it's the only word that I can say that you get from that is freedom. Total
Yeah.
freedom. And to have freedom is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I just want to let also everybody know that, I mean, it's painful. Like your experience, you alluded to it, that it was very painful, and I have the same kind of examples in my life. It's
Mhm.
very painful, and we don't understand why it is happening or what's happening, and
Mhm.
that's okay because we're just not ready yet to understand. But
Mhm.
later we will, because it's
Mhm.
happening for a reason.
Yes. Yes. That is exactly. I think everything happens for a reason. I think that's.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like if we could teach that to everybody too, that don't resist what's happening
Mhm.
because it's happening for a good reason.
Yes. Yes. 100% I agree with that. 100.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so let's explore the intuition a little bit because so many people have different views and different understanding of what
Mhm.
this thing intuition is and why is it so powerful.
Yeah. So, and I haven't really overly asked people about how they, experience their intuition. And mine started as a feeling, like really, I guess your soul part of you, right? Right.
Your higher self is
Your
basically
higher self.
what
Yeah.
I say is that your higher self is trying to communicate.
Yeah. And
Like
I
I
feel like that's
Yeah,
the same thing.
like I said that at the beginning of the show, people don't hear this and don't see this, but
Yeah.
I have this thing that I do before the show, and I'm asking you, the guest, and I'm
Hmm.
asking myself at the same time. I just don't say
Hmm.
it to get in touch with my higher self
Hmm.
because when we connected to that, that means we are connected to incredible power and possibility.
Yes. Yes. And I feel like, yeah, so my intuition is that, and it's almost like a tiny little flicker. It's a little thing that says, notice me, notice this, and words come. Like to me, words will come, or a feeling of, like, I'll even feel sick. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. And if I don't listen to it, something that's not great happens always. Or I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't overstep this, or whatever it is. If I don't listen, something happens. It's not like it's the end of the world, but something does happen. And finally I think it just, it's not like I'm perfect doing it either all the time. I still will
Me,
have
me
times
either.
when I totally ignore it and do just go straight into doing something where I know what will happen, and I still do it. And so, but probably I'm at about 80% of the time listening and moving forward with stuff, and it just puts you on a beautiful path. And then you're aware. And when you
Yeah. So what you're describing really, just want to put it in a simpler form, is that you going through what I'm going through, which is we going through being connected and being disconnected.
Yes. Yes. But recognizing when you're disconnected. That's the thing that where I feel like I am now is I'm connected so much of the time, and when I disconnect, I know it.
You know it, and there is a possibility then to get connected back in again if you choose.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. And really immediately, or, and that's part of what I try and teach people is just, don't judge, just connect back in. Don't judge, just connect back in, and let it go. It's like nobody's here to be judged. We're all human beings having, we're all here having our...
the Catholic Church is here to do that.
Hey, I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school. I taught religious ed and confirmation.
They love to judge, and they don't get it. It's like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah. But I shouldn't say that. I have one friend who's a priest who gets it completely, and he shares that way. And he's a younger priest, and he just is really just how we are, with everything. So, and then he has the Catholic dialed into it. So, I think it's recognizing the gifts that are in the midst of tragedies. Being able to, like you said, look back. You don't always see it right then, but you look back and you see the gifts that come out. Like I see all the gifts from my divorce. I see all the gifts I have, and I hate saying it, from my brother dying. There's so many times that he has touched all of our lives and friends of his lives here on earth from heaven, that it is amazing. And help people. And so, and I always feel like there's a dimension so close, that's heaven. It's not like we're this big separate thing. I feel like we're close where it's not, it's not this big far away in the middle of nowhere place. I think there's a much closer, dimension between earth and heaven.
Well, I personally don't know about that. I don't know if heaven exists or not. I mean, people can believe in it if they choose to. I just know that we have an opportunity to create our heaven and hell on earth right now. That's all I know, and I'm not so concerned about, what's going to happen when I die. I'm not concerned about what's going to happen when I die, because I just have an intuition about it. My intuition is I'm going to turn back into energy. Yeah, because that's who I am now, anyway. And I just don't worry about that because it's not something that I have control over.
Yeah, I don't worry about that either. And I agree. I don't, and I call it heaven because that's easy for me. That's how I grew up. But and my brother, when he died 1 year to the day he died, came to me in a dream. And he looked so radiant and so healthy and so happy. And he goes, Jeannie, he goes, I'm in heaven now. He goes, you have to tell everybody heaven is real. And he goes, and I am just doing great. And he was so happy. And so ever since then, I did the same thing you just said. I don't worry about dying. I don't worry about, my dad's getting old. He's going to not be here very much longer. And I'm kind of excited. He gets to see, he gets to go to a good spot, where you're, like you said, you move on. You move on in whatever the heaven is. I know, whatever your next place is.
Whatever we do next.
Yeah. It's not a bad spot.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Awesome. All right. So I wanted to also ask you a little bit about your coaching practice and what's the process that you use with people, and how long they get to be your clients. Like what does it normally take for people to to hold their hand through,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's different for everyone because everyone's in a different place and everyone's working on something different in their life. The clients that I have, I've had some clients for 3 weeks. I've had some who just take off, they get it, and they just step into doing what they're doing, and then they'll call and go, can I have a tune-up? I have that. I have clients that have been with me a year. I have and then they get into that spot. But those clients are working on really big things that they're creating in their life too. So it's career type things that they are really moving up with. And so, or people who want to find a relationship, we do a lot of work around that and getting yourself into the spot like you talked about, where you want to be and knowing the type of person you want to be with. And then the visualization part of that, the meditation, I think, and I do a desire statement where we first do clarity through contrast, get very clear on what we want, then make a desire statement, and they start saying these things every day. And then again, I go back to those 5 essential things, doing the inner work. If you don't do the inner work, it just doesn't happen. The ones who do the inner work, boom, 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 things just start happening very quickly for them. And it's just magical to watch. The ones who do it halfway, it's slower,
Yeah, and let me say a little bit more about the inner work, because I, of course, completely agree with you. And that's what's interesting about these shows, is that I hardly ever get to disagree with my guests, because we attract, I know now, it's not even a belief, I know that our network attracts all the people that are, at the level that we are at or higher. And so it's like you have very similar experiences and understandings than I have, so we don't have a lot of things to disagree about.
Yes.
So that makes a show even more interesting, because what you see on commercial television is the opposite. People are constantly disagreeing with each other because it's completely ego-driven, and it's about opinions against opinions. I just wanted to point
yeah.
Because to some people that may not be obvious.
Yeah.
It sure wasn't for me 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And what 10 years can do for people is amazing.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So something else that I kind of learned about this journey that I'm on is that there's nothing more important to me in my life right now, because you mentioned relationships, but something has become actually more important to me, and that is my health. And I know that's something that you believe in as well, because about 2 years ago now, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with what's the thing related to sugar? It's just not coming.
Diabetes?
Diabetes 2, yes. So I'm not on insulin. I'm just on medication that takes care of it. Like, I'm still making insulin, but not enough. So what a lesson that was for me. Like a year and a half ago, that completely opened my eyes. And what's interesting is, a year and a half ago, I took on a series of television shows that I was the executive producer and still am. Matter of fact, this is one of our biggest show and series on UBS. It's called The New Health Conversation. And like I said, there's no accidents, because it happened congruently and at the same time and space as I was dealing with this. And I said to myself, oh my God, without our health, don't worry about relationships, don't worry about money, don't worry about anything, because nothing will matter. So that, because before that, I used to go like, there is nothing that's more important than consciousness and being awake. And And I changed my mind. You know how women change their mind?
Yeah.
I changed my mind. I said, well, consciousness and being awake is fantastic, but if you don't have your health, who cares?
Yeah, you don't have anything without health. I
Yeah.
agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So I'm curious about how much of that do you put in your, because I used to be a coach, a life coach, and I let that go because I've been now a media coach for class. I don't really do life coaching anymore. But how much of that do you put into your practice and in terms of helping people with and having them understand? Because we are in a health crisis. It's not even a crisis anymore. It's an epidemic. It's a pandemic.
Well, I actually am putting together, and I'm waiting for this next surgery my daughter's having next week, her 6 weeks, and I'm just waiting for her to pop up and start just being in the world again. But I have a body, mind, spirit class that's going to be an internet class that will come out probably in October, and it's all about this, and it's about eating mostly an inflammatory diet, but it's about giving yourself that time, letting your body be important as far as the health, but giving yourself that time. People just don't give themselves the time, or they can overdo in one area and then they're not overall healthy. If someone exercises 3 hours a day, that doesn't mean they're healthy. There's this whole overall, and I really think it is the three things: body, mind, and spirit.
And the fact that somebody is skinny doesn't mean they're healthy.
No, not at all. It's really about, it's those three components to me. And so I work with, all my clients do some work around their health always, just because that's a big part of being in the world, is to, like you said that's now your most important thing. You have to have your health or you don't have a life. You just don't have life. And there's a lot of ways to have a healthy life that really it's not that hard to do. At first it feels really awkward to change your diet, but then what happens is you get used to all this new flavor and taste, and that's all you crave. You don't crave sugar anymore.
Yes.
You do once in a while, but you don't crave it like you used to. And all of a sudden that's a treat instead of your daily thing. So, but I think it's probably, I don't know, every client works on it. I don't have one client who doesn't work on it some, but I kind of work on the whole round person, and most people have different goals they want to achieve. And so we work, we spend time focusing on what's the most important to them right then. But that is something that's very important to even do anything in the world, be in the world.
Yeah. So they might come in and they might be attracted to working with you because they want to work on the relationship stuff.
Yes.
But I guess what I want to say about it is that even that they come in with that, you're going to end up looking at the whole being.
Yes.
And you're going to address all the other things.
Yes.
Because the fact that they're having relationship issues is affecting the entire being.
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I
wish doctors would start doing that.
Yeah, I do too. It's my goal to build Living Well Center and Living Well Wellness Center in Portland, Oregon. I have a whole idea. It'll take millions of dollars and a long time from now, but I want to start a foundation and create something that doesn't exist right now, and that's in my future plans.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to take long, by the way. Somebody could be watching this and give you a call tomorrow or next week and offer you the money to do it. You just never know.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? I do think that can happen, and my background's architectural interiors, and I've a photographer, a designer. You know, all my stuff's very creative.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the artist. What is the artist about?
Well, I've been an artist. I majored in architectural interiors, and it was before the CAD system, and I started drawing and doing all my renderings in architectural ink and watercolor. And then about 8 years into my practice, I started painting, and right away I just started selling paintings. I became a pretty prolific Northwest artist, and this is sad, I painted one painting in the last 4.5 years since my daughter's been injured, and I painted it the week I thought she was better. So there's a really true connection between letting myself paint, and her, and I don't, you know, it's my own thing, and I don't spend enough time to go, you know, really work on it, but also I'm really busy taking care of her and doing my life coaching and doing my seminars. So I'm pretty content. I know I'll paint for the rest of my life, and it's just in me. And there's a flow. It's like you said before we even started the call, you know, it's like there's this energy that comes through my head, down my arm, into my hand, and I just paint. And I will stand back and look at my paintings every single time I paint a painting and go, wow, did I just paint that? You know? So I love painting, and I love photography, and I do stock photography for ad work and books and magazines, all that stuff. And I love that too, and that's just residual income, and I built that up, and I add to it slowly still, but not like I used to, because I'm focusing on my coaching and on my book right now, and Sally.
Well, fantastic. But what's cool about you sharing that is that your ability to be a photographer and to be a painter, it requires for you to be creative, and that's what I want the viewers to get, is that our creativity is so important, having it to be part of our lives. And for me, it's the broadcasting. It's my ability to be with people and making them very comfortable. And this is we know this is a TV show, but it doesn't occur as a TV show. It occurs as you and I just having a great conversation, and we just met, and but in essence, we know each other all lives, right?
Yes. It's been really nice visiting and talking and sharing.
It's like where the hell Jeannie has been. Well, you've been around all the time, and I've been around you all the time, because we are so much alike.
Yes, I agree. That's really neat.
So
yeah, you've
actually,
had
I just saw this movie that I really wanted to see, the Lucy movie, where she has access to 100% of her brain. And I don't want to ruin the movie for a lot of people, but at the end, what basically happens is what we talk so much about on the show, which is that there's a visual of this, is that we turn into energy, and we're everywhere. And what I feel, this is just recently that's been happening, is that that's true for me now, is that I feel that I am everywhere, and that's just who I am as a being. I am not just here sitting in the studio. I am everywhere.
Yeah,
do you get the feeling
I know
sometimes?
exactly what you mean. I do, and I feel like, I think, I've studied quantum physics a little. I've studied, the shapeshifter archetype that can be two places at once. You go to sleep, you can be, I've learned, I've heard, it resonates inside. I don't go, oh no, that could never happen, because it feels like it does happen. Sometimes you wake up and it feels like you've had a journey all night long.
And I feel challenged by the limitation of language. And I do speak several languages, and I don't care which language I refer to, they all limited to explain the experiences that I'm having.
Mhm.
I don't have the words. It's kind of funny because I am in that business, but
Yeah.
I don't have the words to explain the experiences that I have.
Yeah, maybe you'll have them at the right time because maybe they're just germinating inside of you right now. No, no, really. And then you'll be able to share them, and they'll
uh,
be pretty amazing to share with the world. So,
like if I look in the vocabulary, there are no words to
well,
explain some of my feelings, some of the
hmm
some of the stuff that's happening. I just
hmm
don't know. I just don't know any words.
I think you're being fed something and it'll show up. It's like I really think a seed's being planted in you. If you're really experiencing this, the seed's being planted and you just get to nurture it by, the things that nurtures things like that is meditation, is the
Yeah.
sitting
It's
and and let it.
it's actually very similar to this. I have considered before to do some shows in Hungarian
Mhm.
for the Hungarian communities around the U.S. and also for Hungary,
Mhm.
and I come up against this huge block that a lot of the things I know in English I cannot
Mhm.
translate to Hungarian. It's impossible.
Mhm.
I don't have the words for it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
It's like that.
Well,
So how
it's
can I do a show in Hungarian if I can't? Because like in English I can explain a lot of this stuff, but in
mhm.
Hungarian I can't.
I understand what you're saying. I would just wait. I know something's coming. The way you say that, I know you're being fed something that will be something you'll be sharing.
Awesome.
It'll come out. It'll
I'm
come
loo-
out.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Why don't you mention where would you like people? How would you like people to contact you after
Oh, and
watching the show?
my website is livingwelllifecoaching.com, www.livingwelllifecoaching.com, and they can send me a note if they have any questions. And I was going to offer the first 10 people who contact me a free 1 hour instead of a half hour, a full coaching session um, to help them really get a really good taste of what coaching does for you. And there's no obligation or anything. They can just see if it's something they might want, and they would actually get something out of it to help them, take a step forward in their life. And so they can write to me at www.livingwelllifecoaching.com. There's a place you can write me a note. And then you can like me on Facebook. It's Living Well Life Coaching on Facebook, and follow me there. And I have an author page, Jeannie Provost Author, and that will give you things that it's great for writers because I do writing quotes on that always, and people love it. So inspiring things to help you keep writing, and then as my book starts, the more I have written and the more I want to share with people, I'm going to share parts of it on there until I'm done.
Okay, fantastic, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So,
Yeah.
um,
It was a great talking with you. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, it's actually almost over, but not quite.
Okay.
Kind of interesting. I wanted to get your uh, take on this. Did this show seem an hour to you?
Not at all. Not at all.
So, I just want this to be like proof for the unbelievers, because there's
Mhm.
a lot that are not believing. But when you actually are operating in the present moment, time and space disappears because that's just what's up.
Yeah.
We made up for convenience and
Mhm.
certainty. It doesn't really exist. It's made up,
Mhm.
and it's kind of interesting because a lot of people are so uh, tied or connected or driven by time.
Mhm.
And the only reason I stopped using I stopped wearing a watch and using
Mhm.
a watch
Me too.
um, a long time ago, like many
Mhm.
many many years ago.
Mhm.
And I have several of them put away. I don't have a need for them. The only reason I really use time so that I can start these shows on time so that we can actually meet in space. But
Mm-hmm.
and when I have appointments, but other than that, I really have no use for it because time doesn't really exist for me. What exists for me
Mm-hmm.
is, is just beingness is what
Mm-hmm.
exists for me. Is energy and just being in this moment
Yeah.
and in the next and in the next and in the next. And that's all it is.
Yeah, I love how you say that because I was told probably 10 years ago from this man that time doesn't exist and you do have all the time you need to do whatever you want to do. You just start doing it and the time appears. And I've always loved, he was a great man. I call him my little monk, and he's passed away now. But that was a really good lesson for me to just know, to really realize I can do things. I can get things done. I can do whatever I want to do because of that same reason. And I use time obviously because there's appointments. There's the same thing, but I
Well,
don't. But I love my life without just a watch on, like you said. I love not having a watch on and running a business still and not having a watch on. you know, it works out great.
yeah. So I think we just do it because it's a demand living in society.
Hmm.
But other than that, if I lived on an island, I wouldn't have any use for it. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
so this was really fantastic, Ginny. I loved just the 5 minutes that we were
Hmm.
together in time and space because really that's what it felt like.
Yes.
And I just want to acknowledge you for doing the incredible work that you do in the world. And you certainly have your why um, uh, completely dialed up, and that is you helping people how to live well, um, which is absolutely fantastic. And you using intuition, and you're also helping people to recognize how important intuition is, because it is our higher self. It
Yeah.
is what's telling us what's best for us.
Yes.
And that's fantastic. So I love the whole show. Thank you so much for being on the network, and for everybody else. If you heard anything, experienced anything on the show, and touched, moved, and inspired you, please go to consciousolutionmedia.com and just interact with us there on any of our pages. And keep going to our YouTube channel because the more these shows are watched, the better the possibility that they will end up in the top 10 every month. And if they do, they have the potential to go yes, which is only 100 million eyeballs. So if we want to get this out there, and I know that we do, that's really what's next.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I love you
Yeah.
all.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
So
and we'll
great.
see you next week.
Okay.
Same time, same place. Thank you. Bye, Jeannie.
Bye bye, Steve. Thank you.